So I would like to begin by asking the 8th graders to find, if they have chosen to take the Yortzeit candle that looks like this that I deliver to their homes, and to go ahead and light it as we begin our service. I'm going to light mine here. Some of the siblings of 8th graders may have them also. And I will say that each one of these special Yortzeit candles has the name of somebody who lived and maybe died during the Holocaust. This one of mine is the name Mordechai Analevich, and he lived from 1919 to 1943. He was in Poland, and he was a commander in the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, and he died there in 1943. And there's a QR code here on the side that later I might scan to see if I can learn more about him and about others. Let's see, Nina, did you light a candle? You did. Do you want to tell us the name of who you are remembering there as you're holding your candle?
Okay. Use your, yeah, well, no, it says it here. Wait, does it? Oh yeah, it does. Okay, David Bagelman.
Okay.
1877 and 1944 in Ostrów, Poland. He is a violinist, orchestra leader, and composer, and he died in Auschwitz.
Okay. Annabelle, did you light a candle too?
Yeah.
Can you try to read the name?
Maddel Lowenheim, 1904 to 1944, Felsovis, Romania, daughter of Matitiahu and Kana, housewife, perished in Budapest, Hungary.
Thank you for recalling their names so that we can keep them in mind. Shalom shared that some of his father's family perished in the Holocaust, and I'm glad to keep their memory in mind, and I'm sure that is true for many of us. So let's begin, and we'll ask some of our 8th graders to share the names on their candles again later. Oh, I need to share my screen. Thank you all for your patience as we begin. Netanel, will you begin for us?
Yeah. Starting from Yom Hashoah.
Yes, please.
Yom Hashoah, Holocaust Memorial Day, was inaugurated by Israel's Knesset and set for the 27th of Nisan. It is commemorated with memorial services and programs throughout the world.
You can read one more.
Okay. Our service here today is only one way of memorializing the 6 million who perished at the hands of the Nazis. We must never let them be forgotten.
Thank you. Ezra, would you like to read? Or Bacher?
Sure. This really happened. It is all true. It is part of our Jewish history. It happened when our mothers and fathers were not yet born, when our grandparents were young. Should I keep going?
Sure, one more.
Before World War II, the Jewish communities of Europe were large in number. The Jews loved their people, Am Yisrael, and the Torah. They established thousands of Jewish schools, synagogues, and businesses. Hundreds of thousands of Jewish children studied and played daily, until Adolf Hitler was the power.
Roni.
Hitler, a modern Haman or modern Antiochus, became the Chancellor of Germany in 1933. He was the head of the Nazi Party. They had a symbol called the swastika. Read more. I continue?
Yes, please.
The Nazi army marched all over Europe. They said they were better than others. The tall, blonde, blue-eyed people were the most pure-blooded. They said The best people were the Aryans. Hitler and the other Nazis wanted all the Jews killed to punish them for their crime, the crime of being Jewish. Imagine they were to die just because they were different. They were Jewish.
Jed, will you read, please? Right here.
They've seen pictures taken by the Nazis in broad daylight. Why were the Nazi killers so proud of what they were doing? Why were these killers laughing as they forced old rabbis to scrub the sidewalk? Why did the young Nazi soldiers torture the bearded and religious Jewish students? Why did all the stores owned by Jewish families have Juden written in red paint across their windows?
Mrs. Leonard, are you able to read?
Why were the women crying as they were forced out of their homes, carrying only their Shabbat candlesticks with them? Did they know that the end was near? Why were millions of Jews kicked out of their homes, their cities, their world? We do not have answers to these questions. There were terrible laws passed, the Nuremberg laws. They forbade Germans from selling to the Jews at their public stores. Juden verboten, Jews forbidden. Jews were forbidden from attending public schools. Juden verboten, Germans and Jews were forbidden from being friends. Juden verboten.
Jews had to wear a yellow Magen David, the Jewish star, with the German word Jude sewn on their clothing in order to show that they were different from everyone else, that they were not as good as others, according to the Nazis. It was a badge marking them for death. Our people were forced to live in crowded, shabby conditions, under fences. There was little food. People, young and old, were hungry. There was little or no medicine. There were no flowers. Mr. Castle has prepared this song. You are welcome to sing along. My experience is that the sound works well when we don't have our mics on, but we'll let Mr. Castle have his mic on. Go ahead, Mr. Castle.
Okay. Donna, 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 oh, Donna, 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 Donna. On a wagon bound for market, there's a calf with a mournful cry. High above him there's a swallow winging swiftly through the sky. How the winds are laughing, they laugh with all their might. Laugh and laugh the whole night through, and half the summer's night. Bum, 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 bum. Donna, 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 Donna. Stop complaining, said the farmer. Who told you a calf to be? Why don't you have wings to fly with, like the swallow so proud and free? How the winds are laughing, they laugh with all their might. Laugh and laugh the whole night through, and half the summer's night. Bum, 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 bum. Donna, 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 donut, 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 donut. Oh, donut, 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 donut. Calves are easily bound and slaughtered, never knowing the reason why. But whoever treasures freedom, like the swallow, has learned to fly. How the winds are laughing, they laugh with all their might. Laugh and laugh the whole night through, and half the summer's night. Bum, bum, bum. Oh, donut, 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 donut. Donut, 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 donut. Donut, 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 donut. Donut, 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 donut.
Yonatan and Avia, did you light a candle today? Can you tell us the names of who we're remembering from your candle?
So I'm gonna do this one. Rabbi Abraham Yitzhak Block. He was born in 1891 to 1941. He was chief rabbi and Rosh Tel's yeshiva, and he perished in Tel's massacre.
Thank you. How about you, Yonatan?
I'm remembering Baruch Libman, who lived from 1915 to 1942, a part of Poland, son of Meir and Malka. Merchants perished in Treblinka camp, Poland.
Thank you for sharing that. Anna, would you read this poem, please?
Holocaust by Barbara Sonek. We played, we laughed, we were loved. We were ripped from the arms of our parents and thrown into the fire. We were nothing more than children. We had a future. We were going to be lawyers, rabbis, wives, teachers, mothers. We had dreams. Then we had no hope. We were taken away in the dead of night like cattle in cars, with no air to breathe. Separated from the world to be no more. From the ashes, hear our plea. This atrocity to mankind cannot happen again. Remember us, for we were the children whose dreams and lives were stolen away.
Thank you. Do you want to share with us the name on your candle?
Should I read more?
You can tell us the name on your candle.
Gertie Simon, 1883 to 1940, in, I don't know how to pronounce, Hesse, Nassau, Germany, daughter of Matilda and Theodore. Cafe Engitz, I don't know that either.
Okay.
Perished in Frankfurt, Germany.
Thank you. Elizabeth, would you read here, please?
A total of around 15,000 children under the age of 15 passed through
Theresienstadt,
a concentration camp. The people at this camp who were treated badly were treated better than the victims of any other concentration camp. Their poems and drawings display a desperate attempt to keep their spirits up. Only around 100 of these children survived.
Shalom, would you like to read this poem?
Yeah. The very last are richly, brightly, dazzling yellow. Perhaps if the sun's tears would sing against the white stone. Such a yellow is carried lightly way up high. It went away, I'm sure, because it wished to kiss the world goodbye. For 7 weeks I lived in here. penned up inside the ghetto, but I have found my people here. The dandelions call to me, and the white chestnut candles in the court, only I never saw another butterfly. The butterfly was the last one. Butterflies don't live in here, in the ghetto.
This was written by a child not much older than you, Shalom. So it was nice to have your voice reading that one. It's called The Butterfly, written by a child in a concentration camp. Let's see who else has a hand up here to read. Ezra, you want to read again?
A German theologian, Pastor Martin Niemöller, once said, "First they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out, because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out, because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Catholics, and I did not speak out, because I was a Protestant. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out, because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me."
Thank you. I'm not able to see everyone. Avi Goldberg, can you tell us whose candle you have there?
My candle is Yaakov Students. He lived from 1890 to 1941 in Shorzel, Poland. He was the son of Shmuel and Devorah. He was a grain merchant and perished in Szczecin, Poland at age 51.
Thank you. Alexis, can you tell us whose candle you have? Oh, I'm afraid we're not hearing you. Can you come a little closer to the mic, maybe?
So she's 1909 to 1943, and she's from Amsterdam, Netherlands. She's the wife of Shmuel Blitz, mother of Nanny and Alfred. She was a gymnast who won a gold medal at the Olympics in 1928, and she perished in the Auschwitz camp.
Thank you. Benny, do you have a candle with you there? Will you tell us who you lit a candle for?
David Silberman. He was born in 1898. He in Poland. He became a merchant, and then he died in 1942 in a concentration camp in Poland.
Thank you. Ari, did you get one too? Did you light yours?
Abraham Drucker was born in 1880, died in 1943. He was a postman.
Okay. It's a little hard to hear, but thank you for sharing that. Thank you. Let's see. Where are other reading volunteers? Are there a lot to process through here? Aiden, would you like to read this paragraph up here, please?
Although the United States, Britain, and the Soviet Union allowed some Jews to enter before the war, the policies of these countries were mainly indifferent to the Jews and the Holocaust.
In the summer of 1942, at the latest, the leaders of Allied countries knew of mind-boggling details of the Holocaust, and yet they did very little to help. Some officials were anti-Semitic themselves. Others were indifferent, and still others could not believe that modern civilizations was capable of committing such crimes.
Thank you. And Aiden, did you light a candle?
No.
Maybe you'll do it later.
My sister.
Okay. We'll get to Adira in a little bit. Mr. Castle, will you read for us, please?
Britain and the United States closed their doors to Jews after 1939. In 1939, the British refused to allow Jews to enter Palestine, which at the time was under British control. Refugee ships, such as the St. Louis, were refused entry into the United States. Other ships carrying refugees were turned back by
I can hardly hear.
The rail lines that carried people to the death camps could have been bombed in 1944, but they were not. The Pope never spoke out against the Holocaust, though some individual clergy saved Jews. A few neutral countries, such as Sweden and Denmark, tried to rescue Jews. Most neutral countries did not.
Asher, will you please read here?
On December 17th, 1942, the United States, Great Britain, and the Soviet Union acknowledged the destruction of the European Jews, but only promised the future punishment of Nazi war criminals. They did not open their own doors. The behavior of the civilized world during the Holocaust was lacking in any real commitment to help the innocent victims.
Thank you. Mosey, would you be willing to read the reader lines here, please? Sure. And then all of us can respond in our own homes with me. Go ahead, Mosey.
When in 1933, Hitler created the first concentration camp,
the whole world was silent.
When in 1935, the German government passed anti-Jewish laws,
the whole world was silent.
When in 1938, Hitler burned synagogues and Torah scrolls,
the whole world was silent.
When Hitler built concentration camps throughout Europe,
the whole world was silent.
When 1.5 million Jewish children were murdered,
the whole world was silent. In just 12 years, more than 1,000 years of Jewish life and learning was destroyed. 2 out of every 3 Jews in Europe were killed. If you are an 8th grader who has not read us the name on your candle, Adira, would you like to share yours, please? Let's see her right here, right now. Avi Goldberg, did you share yours?
Yes.
Okay. Ezra Frankel, will you read the name on your candle, please?
Yakov Panamansky, 1898 to 1942, in Bielka, Poland, son of Mordechai and Zelda. He was a merchant and he died in Stuchin, Poland.
Thank you. The candles that we've lit are to help us remember. It's a very common tradition that we have to light candles to remember, not just in Judaism, but in other faiths as well. So let's see, Mr. Marcus, will you read the reader part? And we will all respond with Zachor lo tishkach, remember, do not forget.
In memory of the helpless infants, children, and young adults who were cut down like young trees before their time, before they had a chance to experience life.
Zachor lo tishkach, remember, do not forget.
In memory of all the mothers who died with children in their arms.
Zachor lo tishkach.
In memory of all the mothers and fathers who were cruelly separated from their families. In memory of all the scholars, teachers, and rabbis who were the first to be seized.
Zachor, lo tishkach.
In memory of the men and women in resistance who fought the Nazis, so few against so many.
Zachor, lo tishkach.
In memory of all the martyrs who gave their lives to help their brothers under the Nazis.
Zachor, lo tishkach. So go ahead and turn your mics off if they're on now. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Jones, who will read for us something that we almost never hear in English. But we thought it would be nice to hear it in English for those of us who have heard it before in Hebrew, but it is also beautiful in English. So please, Dr. Jones.
I wanted to introduce this. Kelma Rachamim is a prayer that we often that we say when someone passes away at their funeral, and in other times to remember the departed. And a friend of mine's father passed away on Friday.
We say it on Friday. We say it on Saturday night also.
A friend of mine's father passed away on Friday from the coronavirus, and the funeral was about 4 hours ago that he attended via Zoom because he was not able to go. And I went on a Shiva call today also through Zoom, and he was talking a lot about actually how special it was. And I was thinking that, you know, when we somehow become distant from each other, we find ways to communicate, to connect, and we have done that. And then when we're talking about the Shoah, the Holocaust, and we're talking about every year that's 1 year away from the devastation of the 6 million Jews that were killed, and we think about how do we connect? So we have Yom HaShoah, but how do we connect with the neshamas, the souls? And God gave us that way, and it's tefillah, it's prayer. So we say this to communicate, to connect, and to become closer with those that seem so distant. And it goes, "O God, full of compassion, who dwells on high, grant true rest on the wings of the Shekhinah, of the divine presence, in the exalted spheres of the holy and pure, who shine as the resplendence of the firmament, which is the heavenly sky, to the soul of he who has gone to his supernal world, for charity has been donated in remembrance of his or her soul. May his or her place of rest be in Gan Eden. Therefore, may the all-merciful one shelter him with the cover of his wings forever and bind his soul in the bond of life. The Lord is his or her heritage. May he or she rest in his or her resting place in peace. And let us say amen.
Amen. Thank you. This is a very beautiful song that some of you may know and are welcome to sing along to. I found a recording of it and an introduction to it done by Chaim Topol, who many of you may have seen as Tevye in Fiddler on the Roof. So since I have you on the screen, Mateo, will you give me a thumbs up if you can hear it?
The poet Hannah Senesh immigrated to Eretz Israel in the 1930s. She lived on a kibbutz on the seashore near Caesarea. When the Second World War broke out, together with other Israelis, Hannah volunteered to fight the Nazis. She was trained by the British as a paratrooper and was dropped behind the Nazi lines in Europe. She was captured, tortured, and executed by the Nazis on November 7th, 1944, at the age of 23. She left us this wonderful poet שלא ייגמר לעולם החול והים רשרוש של המים בשמיים תפילת והים רשרוש של המים ורק השמיים תפילת האדם אלי אלי I pray that it never will end. The sand and the sea and the waves breaking and sighing and high over the water, the winds blowing free, the lightning and the rain and the darkness descending and ever the prayer of a man.
I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Let's see if we have a reader left here interested in reading. Akiva, would you like to read this paragraph here? Let the light.
Yeah. Let the light of the candles that we have lit here significantly that we remember. Significant.
You got it.
That
we remember.
That we shall never forget. Their memories shall burn bright throughout all time, as long as we live. They will live, for they are now parts of us, and we remember them. Our children and our grandchildren and their grandchildren all will remember. As we recall the Exodus as Pesach every year, so we shall never let the memory die. We shall never let the memory die.
Thank you very much, Akiva. What a strong voice there. Gavin, if you would be so kind as to read Hatikva in English, and then we will stand and we will sing it in Hebrew.
Okay. As long as in the heart within, our hope is not yet lost. The Jewish soul yearns, the hope that is 2,000 years old. And toward the eastern edges onward.
Hey, hang on, Gavin. I think it's confusing because of the way I printed it. It should go straight down like this.
Okay.
And then here. So let's go ahead and start over.
As long as in the heart within, the Jewish soul yearns, and toward the eastern edges onward, an eye gazes toward Zion. Our hope is not yet lost, the hope that is 2,000 years old, to be a free nation in our land, the land of Zion, Jerusalem.
So how about if you all join me? We can stand. I hope that you have pants on. We talked about that earlier. I'm going to mute myself and let Mr. Castle take over here, but I do invite you all to please sing along.
Kolon balevav penima הומיה ולפתי מזרח קדימה איילת ציון סופיה עוד לא אבדה תקוותנו התקווה בת שנות 2000 עולי אותם חופשי לארצנו.
I think we had an interruption, at least I did on my end, from Mr. Castle. Since we're still here, let's see, Mr. Castle, are you? Thank you very much, Mr. Castle. You went out a little bit at the end there. Would you be willing to do that one more time, please?
The whole thing?
Yes, please.
קולות בלבב פנימה נפש יהודי הומיה ולפתי מזרח קדימה איילת ציון סופיה עוד לא אבדה תקוותנו התקווה בת שנות 2000 עולי אותם חופשי וארצנו ארץ ציון ירושלים אותם חופשי וארצנו ארץ ציון ירושלים.
Thank you very, very much to Mr. Castle. You may have a seat, everybody. That brings us to the end of our prepared program.
Well, we're 20 minutes early.
That's true. So that brings us to the end of our prepared program, but I wanted to invite Dr. Jones, if there's anything you wanted to add at this point.
I'll just first of all thank you, Ms. Cass, for putting
Great
together this
song.
program, and for all of you for joining.
Didn't light a candle.
I know I think about Yom Hashoah every year, and I just think about the idea we say never again and how challenging that becomes every single year. When every single year we get further and further away from something that should feel as terrible today as it did so many years ago, but we know that that becomes hard. And so I really want to repeat what I said before. It's thinking about what we're going through now and all the different ways that we are thinking about connecting and remembering each other, remembering the things that mean something to us, and all the special ways that we have figured out how to stay connected to our family and friends today. Those things exist also for us to stay connected to family and friends from the past. And we should take with us the neshamas, the souls of all those who perished in the Holocaust, with us every single day, and know that by remembering their neshamas, by remembering what they went through, by remembering the terrible thing that happened to them, we will bring them light and bring joy to their souls. And every single year that we do that, their neshamas, they rise higher and higher and higher in heaven, and closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to God. And what we did today in this last hour is something that made a difference for those souls. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jones. Thank you to each one of you for participating. I encourage you, if you have a Yortzeit candle of your own, to go ahead and light it this evening and talk with your families about the memories they have of stories they've heard from those who were present during the Holocaust, who were alive, who lost loved ones. I am sure that you will hear some stories, new or old, but ones that you should be privileged and honored to carry forward into the next generations as well. Thank you very much for helping us to honor this day. And tomorrow we have a very special visitor who Ms. Roden has connected us to, who will be joining the middle school after announcements. He was alive during Kristallnacht. He was a child during Kristallnacht, and he was on the Kindertransport escaping Nazi Poland. And he has a story to tell us, and we have an opportunity to ask him questions. So think about what questions you might have, and hopefully we'll be able to have all of our technology work well to have him join us and to have your questions heard and answered.
When is it?
Tomorrow morning after announcements. It'll be on your schedules. Thank you all very, very much. If you want to stay on, if you have something you want to share with us, I'm more than happy to listen. Avi Goldberg, I still see your hand, and I'm sorry, did you want to add something, or were you hoping to read again?
I was kind of hoping to read.
Okay, I'm sorry, I apologize. Okay.
Should we leave?
You are welcome to leave now. Thank you for joining us. Ezra Bader, did you want
You
to
said
read?
you are welcome to leave. What else would there be to do on here?
Staying here until she kicks us.
So if you would like to stay, there may be some people who wanted to share some other stories or thoughts about Yom HaShoah. I see some hands up. I'm not sure. Mr. Castle, was your hand up for reading, or did you want to add something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, you know, when everybody was reading names, it was very beautiful, and you never expect to hear something that, you know, necessarily means something to you. But I think it was the Vita, I think it was Rabbi Block, who was the Rosh Yeshiva of Telz, and Telz was the yeshiva that I went to for high school. So that definitely hit home for me. That meant a lot.
Zoe, will you share something? Yes.
Bye, Miss Cass.
Hold on, Zoe. I by accident muted you. Go ahead, Zoe.
Bye, Miss Cass.
Hi, Josh.
So will that person who's visiting the middle schoolers visit us too?
Would you like to be a part of that?
Yeah.
Okay. So I will let your teachers know to tell you when he will be with us, and if you can join us in my Zoom room, this one, we would be more than happy to have you come too. Akiva, you'd like to be a part of that too? Or did you want to?
But can I also say something?
Yes, please, Akiva.
So, I had a lot of people like in my family on my dad's side who was in England. A lot of stuff like I had there was about like in my family there was like my dad's mom's dad had 7 siblings, counting himself, and only 2 of them survived, and the 6 of them died.
Wow. Thanks for sharing that with us so that we can remember them. Shalom. I think you might be frozen, Shalom, but if you can say something, I'm happy to hear. I'm sorry.
The person in the Holocaust who was like on something like, you know, that
Shalom, I'm really sorry to say this, but it's very hard. Shalom, hang on 1 second, Kitty. Shalom, I had to mute you just for a second because I'm having a hard time hearing you. I think that the mic is not working so well.
German hunger on the gallows, and then we said the last word, and then he said,
I'm sorry, Shalom, that it was so hard to hear you. So I hope that we'll be able to hear you a little bit more clearly. I'll come back to you in a moment. Akiva.
So what I said about them, about only 2 surviving. So when the 2 only survived, it was.
Let me do it in the chat.
My great grandfather and his brother went to Mexico, and that's how I'm Mexican. So, so then that's where he met his future wife. And then they got married, and then they had my dad's mom, and then my dad's mom went to America, so that's kind of the whole story.
That's a beautiful story, and it's so wonderful that you know it. How did you learn that story, Akiva?
My dad told me.
Did you ask him lots of questions?
No, I don't really, remember.
So it's really
I asked him a question, but, and then he told me.
It's really wonderful that you get to carry those stories on. And if we don't know them, it's important to ask. And sadly, so many of the people who have the answers are growing old and dying, or if they haven't already. And so we're losing the chance to have those connections. So really wonderful that you've asked the questions, or that you've been given those stories to hold on to. Shalom, I want to give you one more try. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to unmute you, and you're going to come closer to your mic. Let's see, but we'll give it a try, because otherwise I would be afraid to miss what you wanted to share. Here we go. Let's try.
Okay. So there was a Saudi in Europe, and then they hung him on a gallows, and then the Nazi said any last word, and then he said Shema Yisrael, and
those were his last words. Wow.
And then he died.
I can't think of a more beautiful way to end this service than with you saying the Shema. So thank you all for being a part of this. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. If you would like to stay on, you're welcome to, but I'm going to need to go in about 2 minutes. Yes, Akiva.
So, when I said how they escaped the people I told you about, my great uncle and my great grandfather. So a nice Nazi let them go, and that's how they got to Mexico.
There was a nice Nazi involved. Interesting. I wish there were more of them. Thank you very much, everybody. I'm going to end the meeting now.